everything, and they're fixed. These are not. These are, and the guy that has the 17 cats, they go down to his house a lot of times. So he has cats that are outside and inside and in the house. So the smell is horrible. But again, when we called animal control, they said, and I quote, we asked about the trap neuter release program, and they said, no, because a man, I'm not going to say his name, ruined it and stole all the money. And that was their answer to that question. And I was like, okay. So, I just don't understand what animal control is according to ordinances, what's written in the county, what's written in the city, what's written in the Board of Health. Nothing's being done. And it's getting really bad. And it's getting, like I said, it's getting to the point where people are going to start shooting cats. And I know that's illegal, but I mean, what do you do? I think it's illegal.
I don't know.
I mean, shooting up a firearm in the city limits is illegal, so.
I don't think so.
It's a domestic animal, you just can't. It is
So a coyote, like you could shoot a coyote, but,
Kelly, Sheriff.
right,
But it is illegal, you cannot kill an animal.
right.
Nuisance issues. So,
But that's where people are at to that point where it's like, it smells so bad and there's not a whole lot we can do now because we tried bleach, we've tried this, we tried that, and it's just like you walk out your door and you're, woof. It's horrible. So my question to you is, what is the money going towards for animal control? What does that mean? Because nobody really knows anymore.
Well, there's an animal control ordinance that we have, right?
Right.
You have it.
Yes,
So that money that's allocated is to be used towards that.
right,
Now, where we run into problems is we don't really have any accurate way of tracking or making sure, I'm not picking up the phone daily and asking them what they're doing.
understood.
But, and you know that because, you were on the Humane Society Board, were you not, for many years?
For a little while, not very long.
So you know what the problem is and what's going on.
At the time I was on it, the animal control was, they were out all the time. They picked up everything
Yeah.
at that time. Now it's, I don't know what happened, but they
We
don't pick up
just-
anything.
We just had a meeting, gosh, I don't know, was it last week?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, where we met with the police chief, sheriff's department was invited, Humane Society, the Board of Health, and the county commissioners, and we're currently going through the ordinance and trying to redefine and specify what those responsibilities are, because we've been getting a lot of the same questions. My question has always been, as a commissioner, is it the county's responsibility for animal control? And I don't think it is.
Right. No, I'm just
And a
saying.
lot of these problems happen in the city of Frankfurt,
Right.
and they don't do anything about it.
I agree.
So,
And that's
so
one
I
of the
think we've
things
got a multitude of problems
Right.
that we have to.
and that's what I was talking
solve.
with Don Stock. He was saying he was trying to get the ordinances going.
Yeah.
But he said they won't comply. They won't, like they said, he took Rodney out there and they looked at it and they asked him to do this and they said, no, it's fine. That's the way we set it up. It's like, not according to the ordinances, it's
Yeah.
not. So, I know it's not, I just wanted to know, I'm not saying it's your fault or
I
anything like
shared
that.
your frustration.
I'm just
I've shared
saying-
it for years.
What do we do?
Yeah.
That's my
Yeah,
question.
we would
is
be
what do
money
we do?
ahead probably to just hire somebody to be an animal control officer. Or go through a law enforcement agency. I think they have the statutory authority to hire an
most
animal
cities-
control officer.
Most cities do
Yeah.
that now.
So-
Well, I know Lafayette does, and I think Boone County does, have an animal control officer. But, yeah, I know it's a big job, because I work there and I know.
Yeah.
So,
But it's always been, since I've been involved, the Humane Society and Animal Control have always been
right,
like this. And to me, there's the Humane Society and there's Animal Control.
right. I agree. So, I guess what I was asking was, what does that money that's allocated towards animal control actually go for? Is it just to keep the animals? Which, if it is, okay, that's fine, but it's just, I guess it's just so foggy.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
It's so foggy that nobody knows. When people call, they call dispatch and they send them out there and they're closed and no, we can't do anything about it. And it's like, okay, well, what do we do about this animal that's right here in my yard or whatever? And there's nothing to be done. And that's kind of what everybody wants to know.
Well, I would suggest, and this is just my suggestion to you, so you know we're going through the ordinance right now and trying to decide what those responsibilities are. Whose responsibility it is to report bites, what that chain of command looks like.
Right.
And so if you have suggestions on how that should work, we surely would appreciate them because, you know, obviously you've had more involvement with animal control probably than I have, and I would appreciate the help. So, but I can tell you right now, it doesn't matter what I say here this morning.
Sure.
It'll get taken and twisted
Sure.
and it'll be, you know, on Facebook and
Yeah.
people are gonna say, I'm not doing anything, or I wanna go out and shoot cats.
Right.
That's what's gonna come out of this, so.
Sure. Right.
You go off Facebook or the media,
Right.
it's
I
inaccurate.
totally understand. Like I said, I was just kind of trying to clarify, what does that mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a
And-
big amount of money
And
that
here's my card, and I know we know each other, Karen. You can call me anytime you want and ask questions about
Okay.
this.
I mean, I know we give a big amount of money, and that's great. I know that the animals need to be taken care of.
Yeah.
Because I work there, and I get it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I'm not gonna say it.
I think
I'm right there
It's
with you. I know what
retirement
you're gonna
home for
say.
animals.
Yep. I'm right there with you.
we have a few issues, and they've come across. You're not the first person to bring them
Yeah.
up, and we've been trying to work through updating the ordinance. But ultimately, what you're saying and what I've thought the whole time is there's no accountability. We contribute $100,000 annually, and there's really no stipulations of what needs to be done to
Exactly.
receive that contribution.
Right.
So one of the things I think in our discussion that the ordinance needs to address is creating that accountability for the Humane Society and Animal Control, and the ability that those payments are on monthly or quarterly instead of just one lump sum, so that accountability can be tracked.
And I agree, the city should absolutely be involved in that. And I know that they're working on, they
Good.
want to do the ordinances, but they should also be financially involved in it as far as that goes, because,
Well, 80% of the animal control calls are in the city, I believe. It's the
yeah.
stat they put
Yes.
out in our meeting the other day.
yes. Because,
So,
like I said, I work there, so I know. So, I get it. I just wanted to know what my next step was and how to help, because, you know, it's very frustrating, and I just want to know what we can do.
I think, as Josh alluded to, you can help by sending us suggestions, because that's really how we're gonna compile the ordinances, everything that's been funneling through us
Right.
of complaints, to
Right.
create something that's new and more successful in the community than what we currently have.
I know that if we could get with Don, because he has come up with a really good, he's following Carmel's ordinances, and he's got some really good stuff, and it really makes sense. There's some things I would add, absolutely. But, and I know that it's a full-time job for somebody, and if there's a kennel tech out there, then they have to leave, and I get that, because I like I said, I seen it. But, it's just, where are we?
Yep.
So,
Okay.
that's all I wanted. I just wanted to know that. And
Did you have something, Rodney?
I just wanted to assure her and Huntley that, as Josh alludes to, we have been meeting. Has been very responsive to the idea that there are some issues, there are some existing ordinances that they're gonna take a look at. And I feel that they're our way through. It took time for it to get to this position that
Yeah.
it's in, and it's gonna take a little bit of time to
understand. Yeah.
a solution.
I was looking through the Board of Health ordinances, it was like, you know, I couldn't believe that didn't get taken care of because of the way it was, and when Don told me, it was like, no, they refused to help. It was like, I mean, what do you do with that many cats, you know?
Yep.
So, okay, that's all I've got.
Well, thank you.
Karen?
Yeah, go ahead, Josh.
Thank you for taking the opportunity to use the public comment
Yeah. absolutely.
portion of our meeting. We've started that in January of 2017, and I can count on these hands how many times somebody's taken advantage of it. So we appreciate you being here and taking time out of your day to do that. So,
Well, I will definitely call.
Okay.
and See what I can help with.
all right, great.
Thank you. Next up, we have our clerk, Stephanie Harshbarger, with the Edward Jones agreement that we discussed last time, but I think we have come to a conclusion that is satisfactory to both sides. So, do you have anything you want to add, Stephanie?
No, just like you said, I think we have our agreement adjusted to suit both sides, and I'm very pleased with the agreement, and I'm glad you guys are as well, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was glad we could get it worked out, and thank you to Board Member Alicia Albertson in making these changes. So, if Josh has anything?
No, I'll make a motion. We sign the agreement.
Okay, motion carries 2-0 to accept the rental agreement for the Clinton County elections to be held at the Edward Jones Building. It's a 5-year agreement, so we look forward to providing this opportunity to the community, and so that'll essentially transition from the EMA building, will no longer be a voting site. It will go to the Edward Jones Building, so, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Jenny Holt, who is the General Manager of Republic, and Darren Folk with a landfill update. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Darren Folk, Operations Manager for the Walnut Creek Landfill. I don't have a really extensive list today. I figured we'd get in here and give you guys an update, and then we can go from there if anybody has any questions, comments, concerns, and we can address them.
Okay.
Recently, I came back to the site. I've been back about 4 months. I have a few familiar faces in here. I actually closed the Clinton County side and then was at the Walnut side in its inception, and now I'm back after taking another position with the company. So Frankfurt's got too many good places to eat, so had to get back closer to home. And like I said, with the Walnut side, we've got the building. We've been occupying the building now for plus minus 4 months. We're still doing some minor updates, getting ready. We had a ribbon cutting scheduled. We've since postponed that, partially due to the weather, partially due to some admin, just getting some stuff set up so we can get a bigger turnout and crowd for that. So more to come on that as we go a little bit further down in the spring here for the new update and the new schedule for the ribbon cutting. Just like everybody else, we've been battling the winds and the rains for a couple months now as we come into 2023. Luckily, we've got the 3,300 feet of windscreen up at the north side of the north and east side of the facility, so that's really helped with the prevailing southwest winds, keeping the litter contained on site. So we're not chasing. If you can remember the Clinton County days, we spent quite a bit of time off to the northeast in the field across the north side of 300. So that has been good. We're battling the winds and the rain, but we're getting through it. Got some litter on site that we're continuously picking up from the winds, but we're getting through it. So we did have our soil erosion with Austin Green, our soil erosion inspection a few months back for the winter season. We do have some items on there that still need to be addressed, and again, mainly it's because of the rain events we've had. It's been a pretty wet start to the year. The very end of 2022 was similar, so as we get into the drier weather, we can address those. We'll have a spring seeding event once we get the erosion mitigated, and that'll probably be the latter part of April, first part of May is what we're looking for right now. And I can provide ongoing updates with that for, in subsequent meetings. Let's see, we talked about the ribbon cutting. The Clinton County side, Clinton County Landfill Development was officially closed. I believe we got the certification letter from IDEM in December. So now that site is officially closed, even though it has not accepted any type of solid waste or anything like that since December of 2018. We finally went through the process and got the certification letter from IDEM, and mainly that was due, they wanted to see a stand of vegetation on the Clinton County side, which would be the west side of the highway. We do have a couple, the erosion inspection does include both sites. We've got post-closure care responsibilities for that site as well. So, and when we take care of the erosion on the Walnut side, the Clinton County side will have, there's some erosion rolls on the east side facing the highway over the old shop that will get addressed and get that seeded up as well. Other than that, you might have noticed that we put a new flare in. That was prior to myself coming back. I believe that was in place since March or April of last year, so we're coming up on a year where there's a candlestick type flare that's in operation on the east side of the road. As many of you have probably seen, there's one in operation on the west side of the road that's been there for quite a few years. So those are odor destruction devices, no more, no less. So they're operating as expected, and then the reason they are operating is so we can destruct the odor, so we don't have odor issues on a constant basis throughout the valley and the north side of the city. Other than that, that's all I've got for an update. If anybody's got any questions, comments, concerns.
Anything, Josh?
I don't.
Yeah, thank you, Darren. We appreciate you guys coming and look forward to getting back on our quarterly rotation here where we can provide some updates to the public. And I've been to their new office there and it's really nice. So we're glad you invested in the community and built that. So we look forward to hopefully continuing to work together here. So thank you.
Appreciate it.
Good to see you, man.
Nice to see you.
Next, we have Rodney Wan with the IHIE subscription agreement and health department reorganization. Are these two different things, Rodney, or one?
Couple, actually,
Okay.
one came up in between times as well, so, first of all, let me get these passed out to you guys. How many of them I need? I know I've already sent the agreement to, Mr. Little to review, because I know that's something, that we always want to have done. I'll let you guys have a copy
Thank
of
you.
those. One thing he made mention, he's already commented back to us on a few items. I'll also give you guys a copy. That's the statement of work that I sent you. And really, this is more for transparency. Typically, we have always had the health officer or the administrator enter into these agreements, but I want total transparency with the commissioner, and since this is a new contract we'd be looking at doing, this is for information sharing throughout the clinician's database for the public health nurse. And she's been investigating this for about a year now, talking to them, and they're starting to pilot out this program to local health departments in Indiana, and we'd probably be about the fifth one that they're now doing. This gives her the ability to, rather than have to call for follow-up on any type of management of a contagious disease, tuberculosis or something, she typically would have to call the nurse or the doctor's office and wait for them to call her back to get the information. This gets her the ability to get into the same system that many times they're entering their data and information into, and allows her to be able to access that, saving her time with her job. So her and the health officer have been looking at this, and this is simply that agreement that would allow us to subscribe to that service for, I believe it's 3 years.
So it's not a state-run, it's a private system
Yes, it's-
that will essentially link the different hospital systems all to one, and then our nurse will have access to that as well.
They already subscribe to it, and actually physicians' offices as well, because as you well know, most of our physician offices nowadays are outside of the county rather than here. We used to get a little bit better response time with local physicians, but now you're calling someone in Indianapolis or Lafayette, and you're waiting, days before they call you back, so. It's one step short of what we're still going to look at in the future, which is a Gesundheit, an electronic medical record system. Basically, we're in a situation where we're outside of the loop of the clinicians and the hospitals, and we have to drag that data from them. And we're looking at now updating to where we can at least be able to pull that data ourselves and add into that information as well.
Tom, what did you had some changes?
I just had some, wanted to know, because I wasn't sure exactly how this worked and how the fees were structured or anything else like that. I'm just seeing the statement of work now, but, the term wasn't really defined, and the termination only allowed that the other company to terminate, didn't allow Clinton County to terminate.
Yeah.
We've been through that before, and so I just wanted to bring that to
Sure,
their attention.
and I'll address that with them.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, but I mean, they obviously, I think this is a situation where they have more knowledge as far as how this actually works. Now I see it's like $1,500, and I said if you're fine with the fees or
Yes,
everything else.
yeah. The setup was 15, and then there's a $1,500 a year
Right.
per annum fee to actually subscribe to the service, correct?
Right, but that would just be my concern.
I guess the question I had, should it go through us to sign though?
I think this would probably be more of a health department I mean, I think it could be done either way. I think the board could do it, the Board of Health could do it, or you guys could do it. I don't know.
Do you have a problem with us doing it, Rodney?
I don't.
Okay.
I've already put that forth to the health officer as well, and he and I weren't sure, but for transparency's sake, I would always want
Yeah.
someone to at least be aware that we're entering into it since it's 3 years,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, exactly. So maybe if we can get Tom's changes and then we can sign, we could go ahead and sign it. Because that was really the only thing that I saw in skimming it was the termination. And the fee wasn't defined, but here's the fee defined.
Sure.
I assumed you were okay with it. I just.
Yes, but yeah, I've already looked over the budgetary,
So-
that's my portion of it, and then I let
Exactly.
the nurses and the health officer determine whether that's the services that we need or not, so.
Okay, so I guess, do you just want to work on them to make those amendments and then bring it back and we'll just
Yeah,
add-
that'd be
sign it
great,
at that point?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
So, also then, moving on to the next item, wanted to just get, your permission. I have a resignation tendered by my food inspector. She's going to be moving on, and I wanted to make sure that it was all right with you to fill that position, as quickly as I possibly can, since we're
Fine
getting.
with me.
Okay,
Yep,
very
good with me.
And then my final thing on the agenda would be coming to you gentlemen today to talk about the reorganization that we have kind of proposed through first my summarization to you gentlemen about what I've experienced in 8 years' time, and also had the opportunity to let the health officers and the board understand that and back that up. So I wanted to come to you gentlemen today to see if I could put that reorganization into play at this point.
Josh?
I don't have any issues with it, but
Do you think if the public health funds that passed at least to the House side now is in the Senate at the state level, will that change anything in terms of how you want to do your reorganization with the additional funding possibly available here?
Well, it's an excellent question. What I'm asking to do right now is irregardless of whether that funding comes through or not. I feel that we have this surplus funding right now to support it for the next year or two. And with my experience with the tax levy, even if it wasn't changed whatsoever, that would give that enough time for that to be absorbed into what would be considered additional expenses. So I've analyzed it from that side. I think it will be critical to have that reorganization in place if this funding passes, because we're going to be asked to efficiently and effectively use those funds in a very short turnaround period of maybe only 6, 7, 8 months. And I want to have that in position to be able to start working on showing plans on how we're going to use that money.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately the funding's going to come through at some capacity now, whether that's what they initially proposed or not.
Right,
is
right. And
the question, but
these
it's
change-
coming through,
yeah,
so
yeah.
I guess I don't have an issue with the reorganization, especially if that'll kind of get you ahead of the game a little bit.
I think it's going to help us with being able to start looking at what best ways to utilize those funds, whatever amount they are when they come down. It's going to be key to continuing to build relationships within the community for that individual to be able to go to those meetings, and that's going to be a part of that funding. If we concur to take that funding, is going to be broadening those partnerships of all the other agencies in the community. So a part-time administrator, I can tell you myself, most folks would tell you I'm crazy to do as much as I do right now because it's almost gotten to be a full-time job. And I feel like competitively we need to look at this change to have a good candidate in the event that when I do retire, that you have the ability to attract good candidates for that job.
Okay.
So,
works for me, Rodney.
thank you, gentlemen. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you again for all your support through all this. I will get back with Tom and get a draft of what they said.
Okay, perfect.
Thanks.
Thank you. Next, we have Rick Campbell with a highway update. Good morning, Rick.
Good morning. We received the approved consultant's contract for Bridge 55. We emailed a copy to the attorney, but I didn't have time to get the commissioners a copy of it, and I didn't know if you guys wanted to go ahead and sign it or not.
I probably want to read it before I sign
Right,
it, so.
right.
I mean,
So-
we can drop it off and we'll look through it.
Apologize, we just
Oh,
got this
that's
morning.
fine.
No apology
Well,
necessary.
They just got it to you, so.
And we've been, let's see, we've been working on the tile in Hillsburg. We got one more property to go, and then that'll be done. We're taking a break from it today because we had all this weather Friday, so we're cleaning trees up and picking our high water signs up and fixing our gravel roads today. We should get back on tomorrow and wrap that project up. I guess that's just about it. That's just about it. We'll get back to Hillsburg tomorrow and get back to Hall and Stone again
Very good.
and patching.
Anything, Josh?
I don't have anything.
All right.
Thanks, Rick.
Thanks, Rick. Next, we have Liz Stitzel with the area plan update. Morning, Liz.
Good morning. Sorry, it was a long walk. I don't have a whole lot this morning. The main thing is the house on Farmers Gravel Road has hit the point where it was going to come back up for discussion. I did drive by that on my way into work this morning, and it is unchanged. So unless there's some piece of news that we're unaware of, I would recommend that we look at going ahead and calling for advertising bids, because that process will still take a little bit to get through, and it doesn't appear that they've started tear down in any way, shape, or form. There's not a dumpster, an excavator, or anything sitting out there either that indicates, say, that it's starting this week. So I'm not sure. I know their attorney was going to be here this morning, but I do not see him. I spoke to him Friday.
Okay.
At that point, he wasn't aware of what the situation was with the status of the house, but it's definitely still up.
So your suggestion is to go ahead and get bids? Is that what you said?
Yes, because
Sorry,
the
I didn't hear.
process, by the time Tom and I get that advertised and it goes through the paper and we get bids in, it takes a few weeks. So, and if by some stroke of luck, it doesn't cost us a ton of money to put an advertisement in the newspaper, if by some stroke of luck they do get the house down in the next 2 weeks, well, then okay, we don't award the bids. But by the time we get the bids in and award the bids and then schedule a time for tear down, we're probably still looking at another month.
Yeah, it's a month. And we gave them a month, if I remember
We did.
correctly, when their attorney showed up. It was-
They provided 2 bids, both of which
Yeah.
said they would be tear down in 30 days, so
Here we are.
here we are.
So, yeah, I would support moving forward with doing the bid process.
Shoot me the info.
Okay, yep, I'll go ahead and send the information to Tom, we'll get that together and advertised, and then it, depending on how our timelines line up, either your next meeting or the one after that, we'll have bids for you to open.
Okay.
So, do you have anything else for me?
No, ma'am.
I do not. Thank you.
Excellent, I hope you have a good morning.
Okay,
You
thanks. We have one item under old business, and as we've mentioned before, we have 2 open appointments on the Board of Health Board. And so today, we have one of those to fill, which is the general public. It is Mrs. Kathy Martin, who has a BS in criminal justice and philosophy. She's currently the Director of Operations for Healthy Communities of Clinton County. She's previously been the volleyball coach at Rossville and now the current volleyball coach at Clinton Prairie, and was a classmate of mine, so I'm familiar with her and spoke to her and think she would be a great asset to that board and an advocate for this board. So she's here today. I don't know if you want to take an opportunity to speak to us, or if you just, no pressure at all. But I kind of put it on a tee, so I'll allow you to give a little bit more information.
Yeah, Kathy Martin. I'm with Healthy Communities, Director of Operations there. That's Carol's fault, so we can all blame Carol for that one. But no, Rodney came and asked if I would be interested, and it would be an honor to help serve our community in that capacity. I know there's a lot of great things going on in the community, in our county, in our city, and just another way to help out. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but otherwise, happy to serve.
Okay, thank you.
I'll make a motion when we appoint Kathy Martin as our representative on the Board of Health.
I will second that. So 2-0 on that, and welcome, Kathy. You're into the new appointment for 4 years. So, yeah.
Uh-oh.
Okay, moving on to new business. The first item is we have the addendums to the PPA agreement with Envoy. And so a little bit of background and context on this. If you recall, roughly 13 months ago, we assigned the original PPA with Envoy, and it was basically kind of an umbrella agreement that was very general in nature and could include a lot of different projects, and ultimately just had kind of $1 figure tagged to it. And over the last 6 or 8 months, as we've progressed with the annex project as well as the courthouse, those two projects have now been split into two. So this is signing the addendum to to the original PPA so that it's now split into two separate projects, which is important from a bonding standpoint. But it also has updated the cost associated with each rather than having just the one general term. So this is to kind of continue to move the projects forward. So I'll entertain a motion, or I guess probably should do two motions. So let's do one for the addendum number 1, which will be for the Clinton County Courthouse renovation. And then we'll have a second one for addendum number 2, which is the Clinton County Annex construction. So
I'll make a motion, we pass addendum 1.
I will second that. Motion carries 2-0.
I'll also make a motion, we pass addendum 2.
I will second that as well. So now both of those are update, and we are much more clear on where the projects are headed. So I'll sign them out, Jerry. We have I see it. Next item is our auditor actually brought this to us in her conversations with other communities and counties. They had started to go to these public request forms just as an internal record keeping. So this is one that she had worked on, that there was kind of a template floating around the state, and essentially it allows better record keeping internally when someone comes and does a public record request, so it doesn't kind of get lost. So it'll be available to all the departments in the county to use. Obviously, we'll use it here at the courthouse for ones that are requested. So entertain a motion to approve the public records request form.
So move.
Second. Okay. Department heads. Do I have any department heads that would like to go? Chris. Morning.
Morning, gentlemen. Couple things. One, as you know, Apex has decided to go a different direction. They recommended Cottage Watchman. Jordan and I had a conversation last week. I did talk to Jody, the office manager. Down on the bottom right in fine print, there is a place that we can do an addendum as far as instead of a 3-year agreement, maybe a 1 or a 2. Also on the back, 3/4 way down, I read it a second time, there is a 60-day out with the registered letter.
Okay.
In the meantime, you and I discussed looking at other companies. I got ADT coming tomorrow. And the thing I'm looking at is an overall, annual contract, making sure it has, monitoring, also that they have annual inspections, come in and do their inspections for us. And then also they'll do fire extinguishers, which we have a separate company now. And then I've got Courson, I saw them sitting out here. I called them, they're coming Wednesday, and then there's a third company I'm gonna contact. So just kind of get a feel. They're all around the same price as Apex, about 40 for monitoring. But anyway, we're moving the ball forward, and I'll have more for you after I meet with all of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah,
And I
just
think what we need to, we'll stay in communication, but ultimately, we probably need to have all of us on the same contract.
I would
I think
agree.
that there was 3, right? Parkview, and then there was the courthouse,
And
and then
EMS.
EMS. So I'll work with Stephen and talk to him that we all kind of are on the same page in which direction we want
I
to
think
go.
so. It gives us better negotiating, just like even the alarm company, we get the sheriff's department and me and the courthouse on one. I think we have better, strength to negotiate. The second thing is the boiler, as I mentioned, I couldn't get companies to come out. I called 15 companies. 4 came out. I got 3 bids. This has been a 70-day process. I finally got 3 bids. I want you guys' permission to go before the council. If it doesn't work this year, I will put it in the budget, then we'll move forward next year. That boiler's 22 years old. It's on the cusp of its time,
Yeah.
and it's inefficient. And the last thing with that storm Friday, rubber roof got blown off last year or 2 ago. Insurance through Henshaw replaced it when out to the north end. We've got leaks. I've already called them this morning. They're going to come out.
Okay.
And look. So, and we'll go through insurance if that's the case. That's all I got.
So I would,
I'd say go to the council on the board.
yeah, yeah. Can you send them to us so we?
Yeah,
have
I'll
a-
shoot them all three to you
Okay.
guys. Yeah.
Yep.
And I think I know I'm going with. Low bid's good because they will also come in and do the monitoring, and they're just right up the road in Kokomo.
Okay,
So, all right, thank you, gentlemen.
thanks, Chris. Renee?
Real quick, next week is Severe Weather Preparedness Week. So on Tuesday around 10:15, in conjunction with the National Weather Service, we will do a full activation of our tornado sirens for testing on Tuesday. And other than that, just an update on our air handler and the equipment room issue. So, because they were in the process when I was here the last time, and so they were able to make the repair. So
Okay.
fingers crossed, let's hope that that stays that way. So, but, you know, if something else comes up, then we will see where we need to go with
Okay.
that.
Okay. Yeah.
But at this point, we're okay.
Good, good.
So I don't have anything else unless you have anything.
No, ma'am.
Nope.
Okay,
Thank
all right, thanks.
Any others? Okay, seeing none, I'll move on to commissioner reports.
I don't have anything. Jordan?
Okay, I have, just one thing along the lines of the, annex, construction project. We got the HPC approval last week from the city, and so we go before their BZA, this week on Wednesday to hopefully get a variance for the building, because we don't have enough parking, although we'll have roughly 110 spaces. So we're going to do that, hopefully get that and move it forward. One thing that has come out of that, and I'm kind of stepping out here and talking about it, but as everyone that has been in that parking lot or eaten at Arnie's, the electrical all behind there is kind of a mess, and so we're working with Franklin Utilities to make all of that go underground. And so that'll help us because there's a 12-foot, they have a 12-foot separation between the building and the power poles, and so we weren't going to be able to put up our construction standing to be able to build the building, and so we're working on getting that underground, but it ultimately will be that whole block will be underground, and even down the alley is what they're working on. So I think that'll be better for everyone in that area to get that out of the way. So wanted to mention that. That's all I have for today. So we will move forward to claims. We have claims dated February 24th in the amount of $29,420.61. Claims dated March 3rd in the amount of $161,759.43. Biweekly claims dated March 6th in the amount of $269,284.85. Court claims dated March 6th in the amount of $19,983.27.
Make a motion to approve claims.
Second. Next, we have payroll dated February 10th in the amount of $488,454.92. And we have Board of Health payroll dated February 10th in the amount of $653.70.
Motion to approve payroll.
Second. We have minutes we have regular minutes as well as executive session minutes, both dated from February 21st.
Motion to approve both sets of minutes.
Okay, and I second. Is there any other business that needs to come before the commissioners today? Okay, seeing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you.
Mike Waldron, what's up?
Hey, come up here, talk to Jordan about
Chris, you got my
What's going on, man?
Yeah, I did. Ball winners. Are you the mediator person?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's gonna be in contact, I've shared his contact, he's giving me information. So one thing